All right guys, today we're going to start the printmaking process. We'll start by making our stamp. I want you to use lines and shapes to make a printing plate inspired by the weavings we looked at. Please do not use letters, only shapes and lines. You're going to start with one color of pen. I'm using purple here, but it really doesn't matter because we're not going about using the drawing. We're actually carving as we do this, which means we're pressing this line in and it carves it into the styrofoam as we draw. So I'm continuing making some triangles, adding a lot of detail, making sure that as I'm working, I'm actually leaving an indent in the paper. Sometimes I run my finger over just to double check. Then I'm going to switch colors and do the exact same thing again. So I switch to red. Again, it doesn't matter what color you choose. The color doesn't matter. What matters is that you're carving into your foam. So I'm trying not to go next to the lines I just made. I'm trying to cover them exactly so that way my carving is just a little bit deeper. And finishing up here, and I'm almost ready for the stamping process. When we stamp, we're going to use ink. Ink is a little bit stickier than paint, so it works better. We're going to make a rainbow stamp, which means you need to be really careful not to mix colors in different ways. I'm going to start each print by writing my name on the back of the paper, then flipping it over. This is called a brayer. A brayer is for rolling ink. When I'm doing a rainbow print, I only roll in one direction. I don't want to mix all the colors up. I want to keep that red, orange, yellow. So I'm rolling, again, rolling in only one direction, not switching directions. If I do that, I will just have an orange print, not a rainbow print. Then I flip my stamp upside down and line it up carefully with my piece of paper, nice and straight. Then I'm applying pressure to the back. If my hands are dirty, it's fine to go wash my hands every now and then so I don't get my prints all dirty. Then you pull your print. So I'm pulling the paper off the stamp. And then I repeat. Again, I'm lining the brayer up in the exact same direction so the colors match. I don't want to mix all the colors up. I would wind up with just orange and everybody else at my table would wind up with just orange and they would not be happy with you. Make sure you write your name on all your papers before you stamp them and press. You're going to make 4 total. I'm going to show you on the next stamp how not to pull a print. So I'm rolling it, making sure my colors line up. Now watch, when I put this down, sometimes people will put it on crooked and then straighten it as they're pressing. When I do that, all I do is smear and I wind up with just a mess as opposed to a nice clean stamp. So make sure that when you put it down, you don't move it. Once it's on the paper, it needs to stay. Otherwise, you end up with a smeary mess rather than a nice clean stamp. Applying pressure and pulling my print. Once I have 4, I can put my work on the drying rack and save it for my next class. Now I'm ready to glue my 4 prints. I want to line them up evenly on a new piece of paper. They want to be towards the middle because we're actually going to write a 4-letter positive word on top of our stamps. I'm going to make the word love. So I'm going to start by gluing down each of my prints. Again, I want it to kind of hug towards that midline. Nice and even. And press. Flip this over, making sure it's nice and even when I glue it. Flip over to the back, apply glue around the outside edges. And I'm lining it up very carefully. And my last one. When I'm making my word, I'm going to be using just strips of paper. So you will have to cut the strips, and on the curved letters, it's a little tricky. So I told you I was going to write love, and that's what I'll do. So I'm going to start with the strip of paper, and L has 2 straight lines. So all I'm doing is cutting 1 line and 2. The L is easy peasy lemon squeezy. Now I'm going to put some glue on the back and stick for my L. Now, like I said, the O can be trickier. We're going to make it out of straight lines, so it's almost going to be like a diamond. And you'll have to play around with the letter you choose to see what will look best, but I think this works perfectly for my O. A V is easy again, 2 straight lines. And an E is pretty easy. Now I'm going to glue each of these down. Lifting, applying a line of glue, and stick. And lastly, my E. When I'm done, I want to make sure I flip over my paper and give it a back rub, a good little massage to make sure that all my glue is sticking and that everything's nice and flat. And then my work is finished. I have a stamp that's been stamped 4 times, and I've used straight lines to make a 4-letter positive word. Great work.